Yeah, everyone thinks like the grass is greener and just go be an entrepreneur. It's easy, but the responsibility that lands on your shoulders is pretty heavy, man.
I honestly think, man, to be an entrepreneur, man, you just have to be built different, man. Because you got to realize, like, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, like, shoot, did I do this? Was this done? Or like, oh, did this go out? Or whatever the case may be, man. You just, you're always just consistently, moving and shaking. So
yeah. So if you don't like working 40 hours a week and you want to work less than that, don't be an entrepreneur because you're going to be working way more than 40 hours a week.
100%.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint Podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Josh. My brother Ricky is not here today, but I had a very fun conversation with Richard with Bighorn Turf Cleaning, local turf cleaning company out here. Conversation about getting the urine out of the turf and just general business conversation. Check it out. Yeah, man. So about a year and a half. How long have you been doing what you're doing?
I started February 2023. So 2 years and a few months, like 4
months.
All
right, sweet. It's awesome. We have so many people on that have started in just like the last couple of years. A lot that have been like post-COVID. Did that kind of time frame, 2000, kind of shift you to where you are now? Or what were you doing before you got into this?
So it didn't necessarily. I've always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I always tried different things. I tried like selling furniture. I've done marketing. I've done a few different things, and this one is. I was just ultimately, I guess, trying to find what was going to be my niche, right?
Yeah.
But this one, it kind of happened,
Yeah.
So yeah, at my house, turf stinks, and I had to figure out how to get out of it, and then figured that if I need it, someone else needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. My last house, the whole backyard was turf, and I was out there like spraying it down myself, and I never even thought of having someone come out. So
yeah.
That's always cool, like coming out of a necessity that you have, finding something and then filling that.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it for 2 years now?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
How's it going?
Great. It's going great, brother. I started my business in February 2023. Went full-time in April of 2024. And then I bought out one of my competitors February of this year. So
okay.
I took all their clients.
So it's like side hustle turned into main thing.
Yeah, because I knew I was gonna make it once I started and I started seeing people were contacting me, I was like, this is it.
Yeah,
I was like, I knew this was it, and then it started just taking off.
Yeah, it's crazy is how much turf protection film we do now. Like if growing up in this industry, if you would have told me 6 years ago how much film we're gonna be putting on windows to prevent the turf from melting, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? But turf's going in everywhere all day, every day right now. And
that's one of the big things that I do come across is the turf being burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually found out about you guys through a friend of mine. His name is Nick from Blue Truck Window Cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the one that told me about you guys. So I started referring my clients over to you guys.
Okay.
And this was probably like maybe 4 to 6 months ago when I found out about you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we got to talk afterwards because we are doing like affiliate programs with people that install turf that are sending referrals over because we got a lot of them now that in the past it was we'd get called from the end consumer. I just had turf put in, it's melting, like come help.
Yeah.
And a lot of turf installation companies weren't mentioning it, or if they did, it was after they had installed it. Like, yeah, these windows might be a problem.
Yeah.
And then letting people just kind of roll the dice.
Yeah.
Now we've got a handful of companies that are just sending us every customer and trying to get them to do it before they ever even install the turf. They're even including like, hey, you're not going to get the warranty from us on this not melting unless this is done. So now we got a lot of turf companies that are getting a little bit more proactive with it. But we still come across the customers weekly that whoever installed it for them didn't mention it or did once they were done, and it melts in like sometimes a day.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. I seen it. I've gone and cleaned turf, and some customer be, every 2 months or 3 months, and next time I go, it's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. The angle of the sun changes, and you might not have an issue when the turf gets installed, but as the sun changes angle from winter to summer and it starts shifting, all of a sudden how it's reflecting off the window changes. And sometimes it's reverse. Like everybody thinks the problem is mainly the summer, which I think it does get worse. Because when it's 100 outside already and the direct sunlight is already heating the turf up, then the added heat from the reflection is like the breaking point. But sometimes you'll see it happen when it got installed in the summer and it's just at the right angle where nothing's happening. And then as winter time comes, the angle shifts in a way that all of a sudden it's melting the turf. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is, because it's literally like a mirror.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's crazy every time I see it. Sometimes I could see like when it's like barely starting to get burnt, and I'll make them aware. I'm like, hey, like this is burning.
Yeah, that's good.
You start seeing the little like the yellow fibers start coming out from the turf because it's being burnt.
Yeah, you can see it like curling.
Yeah. You'll see it curling. I've seen some that literally is just flat, like the turf is just gone.
Yeah,
it's just completely melted. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've been trying to tell my clientele is like, hey, like you have to put window tint or put something, because it's not doing good for this.
Up until like 2 years ago, it was kind of perforated screen was the only option that we were comfortable with, which doesn't look bad, but it's also kind of you're looking out of a screen now. So it's like perforated screen that you'd have on the front of a storefront that you could print images on.
Yeah.
But we print it like a light gray.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the outside, it kills the problem because it cuts down the reflection off the glass. You can still see out, but now you're looking out of a screened window. And if you have a nice view and you don't want to lose a bunch of light in your home, it's not the best option. So now we have a clear film that is the only film on the market that the manufacturer of the film actually gives a 5-year turf burn guarantee of $1,000, which some turf projects, that's not going to cover a lot. But the good thing is the companies we've been working with, they keep track of the lot number of the turf they're using and all of that. So if there is still an issue, which we haven't come across, but that $1,000 could go towards just maybe repairing a section and not having to replace a giant patch of turf.
Yeah.
If they have the ability to like match the exact same turf, because lot to lot, they're not going to be exact.
Yeah. Cause I know that the manufacturers start changing little things here and there.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's one of the things that, letting, the clients know is like, hey, manufacturers change it every like couple years, it seems like. And then even if you bring it, and even the wear and tear on the turf from being outside in a couple of years, if you just let it burn, you try to replace it, you're going to see the difference.
Yeah.
And to me, it's more like it's going to probably, unless you don't care, you're going to be annoyed by it. At least I would.
Oh, yeah. Especially the amount of money you got to spend to put that stuff in. Like, it's insane. So most of the people that we go out to for the turf companies that we've been working with, they're not happy about it because sometimes it's a couple extra $1,000 depending on how much glass they've got. Yeah. But if they're spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, but the turf in the yard, it's probably worth protecting it.
Oh, 100%.
And then, so what you're doing is going out, cleaning it, deodorizing. What exactly are you doing, and how often do you suggest people do it? Because that, I'm sure, gives it more longevity too, right?
Yeah. So there's a few different factors that come into play, right? So, for example, we could start with someone that doesn't have pets, right? Someone that doesn't have pets, the rule of thumb is at least getting it cleaned and, at least twice a year. If you can push at least once, because I know everyone's budget is not the same, at least once, but twice is like the main thing to keep it nice and looking pretty, fluff it up. And, you ultimately want to take off all the grime and everything that has built up from the rain or whatever the case may be, right? But if you have pets, that also varies. It depends on the size of your yard. If you have a big, for example, like your parents, they have, I think it was like 2,000 square feet or something.
Yeah.
But then they have like the main dog area on the side. That I would at least do it at least every quarter. Because they kind of separate everything from where the dogs actually really go. But, those are the big things that come into play is how big is your yard? How many dogs do you have? The size of the dog, all those things. For example, a small dog, you could have a 300 square foot turf area and you'll have a little Chihuahua. They pee almost nothing.
Yeah.
But then you talk about a dog that's 120 pounds, is probably peeing 12 ounces every time it goes and pees 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Accumulates really, really fast.
Yeah. You notice a difference from like turf to turf, like on the quality of it, on how the odor, maybe it drains better or doesn't maybe cleaned as often?
Yeah.
Because I know there's a wide range of quality of turf out there. I've seen a lot of the spectrum.
Yeah. A lot of things do like come into play. For example, like if you have a putting green, that's like the worst thing to have if you have pets. In my opinion, because I feel like it just doesn't go anywhere and it just sits there because the turf is just so thin.
Yeah.
Right. Compared to, and you can't put, infill in there, which is a sand that helps, to help also absorb the smell and all that fun stuff out of it. But like the putting green, it just doesn't really do anything compared to having, the actual turf that's made for pets. It has more of a drainage to it. So when they put the sand at the bottom, sand at the top, it helps really to really pull that stuff in. and then just keeping up with the basic maintenance. I think one of the biggest issues that I see is that my clients, they'll get the turf installed, but whoever installed it doesn't actually make them aware that just because they're putting, the pet turf and adding infill into it, like they could just neglect it. They don't tell them that, hey, you have to keep up with it, or even recommending any type of chemical. If they do that for the client and actually make them aware, or they educate themselves on, hey, I'll recommend you putting this or doing that, and how often, it'll help a customer ultimately be more happy long term compared to them neglecting it for 6 months. Now you have a ton of urine that has accumulated, and this, for example, even if someone that does it in the winter, doesn't smell as bad compared to the summertime. So all those little things do come into play, and I think that turf installers should, I guess, be educated on, hey, like, I recommend you guys doing this, and not just tell them like, no, you're going to be fine and neglect it.
Yeah. And I think we bump up against that too, as far as like, they're trying to sell it, right? And, letting them know up front there's going to be additional cost to maintenance this, and it's not just set it and forget it. And even the fact that the window reflection might melt it. I have a feeling, being a salesperson myself, like, there's a hesitancy to bring that stuff up initially because that might be the amount that pushes them out of doing it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, in my mind, I would much rather just be upfront and open, and then have resources of like, hey, here's my guy, use him.
Yeah.
You're probably going to want to do this once or twice a year.
Exactly.
The same way we've got them telling the customer, hey, you need to do the turf protection film. Otherwise, you got a high likelihood it's going to melt. Like, I think for you, that'd be are you doing any of that where you're actually reaching out to people that are doing a lot of installs and trying to get them to onboard customers?
I have a few companies that have been reaching out to me, that they'll reach out to me like, hey, what do you recommend for, the client to start with? There's a couple out there that, we've began to, I guess, build a, friendship and trust with, and they'll contact me, they'll send me their guys. And whenever I get, a turf install or someone's looking for this, I'll send it. I'll just bounce between both because they're both sending me business. Right. So I try to, whatever they give me, I always try to give back too with what I can, but yeah.
Because to me, that seems like the ideal like avatar to really be going after, because they're going to be sending you multiple customers. And like I said, we're doing affiliate programs with turf installation companies right now that are sending us a lot, where, we track how they send us the lead. We have like a specific lead form, so we know that it's coming from them.
Yeah.
Big Bully Turf specifically, we do a lot with. Vincent over there is awesome. We just had him on. I think his episode, did it already come out or it's about to?
I think I did see that.
Yeah, I think it's the one that just came out today even. We've done a lot with them, and they seem to be really proactive. They might be I can set you up with Vincent and see if maybe they can start incorporating the idea of telling people this is how to maintenance.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And they're really high end too. So I know like their turf, the what's the bottom of it? The mat that the turf's actually woven into. Apparently it's not like most turf, and the water just like drains right through it.
The foam that they put under.
Yeah, whatever the bottom backing of it is. I don't even know the name of it, but apparently it drains really well, and they're using some new infill that keeps the grass cooler when it's wet. So I don't know. It's just like,
I wonder what infill they're using, because I know like the one that it's the deodorizer. I know that one, when you throw water on it, for example, if you're gonna have a party, you could throw water on it, and it'll help the turf be a little bit cooler.
They got a mix of something that's like they took some time and developed probably a combination of a couple of things people are already using. He talked about it a little bit, but he didn't get into the details of what it was, but they've got like their own proprietary like mix now that supposedly for 3 or 4 hours after wetting it'll keep the turf like 20-30 degrees cooler. Which that's huge, because everybody knows you walk out onto turf that's sitting in the sun out here middle of summer,
it'll burn.
You kind of have to wear shoes or sandals, and that's not fun for the kids to just run out back.
No, exactly.
Or the pets, right? That was something he mentioned, is like pets and the kids are a big deal. So you don't want your kids out there rolling around on dirty turf that your dogs have been pissing on and hasn't been cleaned ever.
And that's a big thing, because like I tell my clients, like, you want to keep up with it, because at the end of the day, it's like there's pee in your turf. So that's a bunch of bacteria that's being, grown over time, especially with the summer. It gets worse. The bacteria grows. So, it's like if you have your kids out there and they're barefoot running around, and then they go inside your house, like, it's kind of, would you step on pee? Is
Yeah.
like,
So how does the deodorizing, like, clean, or however you clean it to get rid of the odor? What type of chemicals is that, and is it something that like washes away? What is it?
Yeah. So the chemicals to me that we use, it's a degreaser, deodorizer, and sanitizer ultimately to get rid of the odor and everything that's in there. Kills the bacteria and kills the urine crystals, everything that's being built in there, right? So, but one of the biggest things too is that we do compared to, the competitors, at least from what I hear from my clients, is we're actually extracting urine out of the turf. So we don't just try to kill it with chemical. I'm actually pulling that stuff out of there, because I've had, for example, some clients that you'll literally see how thick the urine is of the buildup, and you can see how brown and black it has been, like on the turf. So you want to take that stuff out, because if you're just trying to kill it with chemical, you're technically just leaving the urine there.
Yeah. So how does that work? It wets it and sucks it back up?
Yeah. So pretty much you want to. So the way I do things, right, for example, is when I'm getting ready to extract, I like to soak the life out of it. Like if I know, I always ask my clients, like, hey, where do your pets really like to pee? Most dogs have a particular area that they really like to focus on. So what I'll do is I'll soak the life out of it. I'll just get my, a bunch of water and, saturate a ton of it. And then we start pulling that stuff out, because urine kind of, it gets hardened, so you want to loosen it up as much as possible when you're trying to pull that stuff out. It's actually pulling out as much as you possibly can, right? Obviously, you're not going to pull out 100% of it, but you'll pull out quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you're not leaving just everything behind. If you have just, if you're on routine maintenance quarterly or every 4 months, then, you're just ultimately able to enjoy your yard a lot better than compared to someone that's neglecting it the whole time.
Yeah. I've walked into plenty of yards where you can tell it's never been cleaned and it stinks.
And you get flies, and, people don't see it. Like, I have some that literally there's just flies all that it's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, even the pigeons, they poop like crazy. And then I have clients that some of them just have their whole, like, where their wall, like their, how do you explain it? Like their roof on the side of it.
Yeah.
Just a ton of just pigeon poop.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely going to get you sick.
Yeah. It's disgusting, So, you want to get that stuff out of there too,
So I've noticed, I was checking out you guys' Instagram earlier. You guys seem to be doing a good job putting content out. You feel like that's a big driver for getting new work for you? Because I know since we've gone hard on it, it's been a big deal for us.
Yeah, I post on my story. Man, I won't say no more than 6 times a day on my story. And I post here and there on my timeline, or whatever it's called, on your page. But yeah, I get a lot of clientele just because it's consistently being in front of their eyes, And I always try to change things up, like me talking, or or my guys working, or if they're out there in my truck and I see them, I'll record them. For example, that happened today on the way here. So I always just try to put like different things, or just kind of put some mindset and attitude on the way I like to think, or the way that I see things. We all see things differently, but you could never know who you're going to impact by saying,
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's the beauty of it, is be authentic, especially if you know your niche and you're just talking about what you do. Mm-hmm. The people that gravitate towards you are just they're gonna come and follow along, and they're gonna be the ones that, and people that don't, it'll stop showing it to them. So these algorithms now have gotten so good at figuring out who will engage with what.
Yeah.
Just like the more you can put out there and the more authentic you can be, you're gonna gain a crowd of people that think the way you do. Yeah. So we do the same thing. We'll do posts that now we're like getting a lot more, we're increasing the volume like crazy, because we have a dedicated person that's all he does now. So that's like Jordan's just doing content 24/7 now. Mm-hmm. But we've got like a plan of like, okay, we want to do at least one educational piece a day, something that's funny and entertaining. Yeah. And then maybe at least one auto car being installed, just showing the guys working on it, and one residential commercial, and just kind of give a spectrum of all the things, and just constantly be putting it out there.
Yeah.
Because every video that gets even 500 views, that's 500 people that are paying attention to you and what you do for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever.
Yeah.
Over the course of a year of doing that 4 or 5 times a day, every single day, the consistency of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We went from having 25 to 30 consultations scheduled a week for bids for houses and commercial buildings to we're at like 70, 90 right now.
Oh, wow.
Purely on the back of just being way more consistent and putting way more volume on social media.
It's a huge, like, honestly, it's a huge no-brainer.
Yeah. It's such an unlock for business and entrepreneurship that like people that haven't had to operate in a world that didn't have it don't realize how crazy easy it is now to generate an audience and start selling something.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Like the fact that social media gives you that ability for free too. That's the crazy thing. It's like you use those platforms for free. That doesn't cost anything. It's just your time, and you're going to get work from it, especially if you're consistent with it.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is just staying consistent, keep it in front of people's eyes, and just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, even if you suck at the beginning, you know, eventually it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And
people like seeing that road. Like people like seeing you like come up and like, oh, I remember when it was, you know, looked like he barely knew what he was doing. And now, damn, look at this. How many people do you have working with you now?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, it's funny because you speaking of like how you said, like people see like, oh, I saw you from here. I have a few clients, well, quite a few of them that literally were like my first clients ever, and they're still with me. And they're like, man, I remember when you were just out of your truck, you had really cheap equipment. Now you're pulling up with this. You got a trailer. Now you got people working for you. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's just.
Yeah, then those people become your biggest fans. And then you've got customers that are like happy to spend money with you because they're like, oh, awesome.
It's crazy because my clients are probably one of my biggest supporters, man. Like some of them literally post me here and there compared to, you know, some of your closest friends. As much as, you know, it's sad to say, but it's like they'll post you or they'll be like, hey, man, like they're with family or whatever. They'll literally tell.
What percentage of your business do you think is repeat or referral right now?
Right now, I mean, I get a lot of referrals. It's hard to say, to be honest. I haven't really stopped and like, all right, this is like,
yeah.
You know, but,
are you using any kind of CRM or anything yet? Or
I use Jobber.
Okay.
Yeah, I use Jobber and I use GoHighLevel.
Okay.
We use GoHighLevel. Yeah, those are my 2 main platforms that I use to talk to my clients and all that fun stuff. So, but I have a lot of clients that are quarterly. I have a lot that are monthly. You know, it's just been built up, and then
so recurring like that's killer. Is that set up to where once it's set up, it's like the card's on file and you just
a lot of them just put it on file, and I make it easy for them. Like some of them will put like, oh, just charge me, like if they want it like that. I have some that are like that, so we just note it, and then when we do it, we just, you know, could just charge them right away. But I have some that you just send them the invoice and they'll just click it, man. Like, and they're happy because they're like, man, you made my life easier. I don't have to keep taking my card out.
That's the other thing that's changed, is it's so easy now to make it easy and convenient for the customer with invoices with links to pay and click, or just presetting it up on recurring.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. Anything involved services where it can be recurring, I think there's just such a huge opportunity, whether it's pest control, cleaning turf, window cleaning, whatever it is. Yeah. Especially if you're doing a good job and you're keeping people happy. Yeah. Because then it's just, if you can retain customers every time you get a new one, that's what's. Yeah. I mean, it starts adding up.
Yeah, it does, man. And I think I believe that a lot of it has to do too with like a customer experience. You know, like how you show up to their house, that you're on time, that you're actually communicate with them. So for us, we do a 2-hour window, but our goal is always to show up right at the time that we post, right? But I mean, we also do that just to, if anything does happen, you know. Sometimes we come across yards that they're small, but they're just full of dog poop everywhere. Like there's just a bunch of stains, and you know, so it costs us more time. So everything varies. It just kind of gives us that, I guess, like that peace of mind of we don't have to rush through this customer to make it to this customer on time. So we could actually properly be able to take care of who we need to take care of accordingly.
Yeah, we do the same thing, 2-hour window. I'm a big fan. Like set an expectation and then exceed it. And then if something does come up, you already let them know. And we're really big on, if we do have 2 installs back to back and it's looking like something came up and you're not gonna hit the beginning of that window, message the customer, give them an ETA, let them know they appreciate that.
Oh, 100%.
Especially because most people still aren't doing that. So the fact that you figured that out is like a huge leap ahead of most other people out there that don't realize how important that is. Because I think the problem is everybody thinks they're selling to themselves. And if they don't give a shit, then they treat everybody like everybody doesn't. But a lot of people do. Their time's valuable, and not communicating with them when you're going to arrive is so simple.
Yeah. And it ruins their customer experience if you don't tell them anything.
Yeah.
They're just not as happy to see you.
Yeah.
I have some clients that literally we show up, we tell them to our window, and it's happened that we show up almost at 3 hours, but I communicate with them because I already see it before. Yeah. How can I explain it? So if I tell them I'm gonna be there from 12 to 2 and it's already like 12:30 and I could already see it, I'll text them or I'll call them like, hey, this is what's going on. I apologize. We should be here between here and here. Yeah. And then them just giving them that call, they're happy, So you see them and you get there and they're like, no, it's all right, man. And they're just laughing with you compared to, I haven't done it, that I don't communicate with them. I'm sure that they're probably not as happy when they see you. And I think that customer experience is the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because yes, we are the professional and we are the person that's going to come out and do the service, but, at the end of the day, the customer is who brings, I guess, value to the table as well.
Yeah.
If you want to keep them, because people talk.
Oh, yeah. Referrals are huge. And then anti-referrals are even bigger. So you really piss somebody off and they're going to go out of their way to make sure nobody on their street or any of their family members ever does business with you. So it's like, that's even worse. So and referrals are huge. I think it was Alex Hermosi that I heard frame it this way once. That was like, oh, that's genius. Like if you're doing Google ads or anything where you're doing paid ads, there's only so many people each day searching in a given area for what it is that you do. Yeah. So paying for those ads and possibly getting in front of them and then getting them to click and all that whole process, it doesn't scale. Like you can only go so big with it. Yeah. Like at a certain point, your customer acquisition cost doesn't make sense anymore because you're having to bid so much to win over a smaller and smaller fraction of the people that are searching. Whereas referrals are infinite. Yeah. If one turns into two, and then those two turn into four, like that literally infinitely scales. Like until they run out of people in town, right? That's a lot better way to scale up, is to provide a service so quality that you have a high percentage of referrals and repeats. Since we've been using HighLevel and TintWiz, that's one of the things that we've gone out of our way to track. And it's crazy to me because we spend a lot more money on marketing right now than we ever have. And we're still over 50% referral and repeat customers. Oh, so like we know every new customer we get, every 2 new customers we get, we're getting at least 1 referral. Yeah. So like,
because you just need one person to speak. Yeah. They refer to one and then that person's going to refer. Yeah. Or they'll shout you out on their social media.
And you get that person that's like knows everybody on the street and they're all about trying to get a deal. So they're trying to refer their neighbors and friends. Yeah. And, that's huge. Yeah. That's so much better than anything you can do on Google ads. Like Google ads work for sure, but only to a certain extent. Yeah. Like if you want to all of a sudden massively reduce your customer acquisition cost, get people referring you and repeating, like then your lifetime value per customer goes through the roof and your customer acquisition cost is going down, which is like the 2 things that you want to see happen. Yeah. Then you're making profit. So you're using GoHighLevel. That's awesome. We just started using it January. We were exclusively using TintWiz, which has been great. And it honestly can, like, we're just to a point now where we're getting in so many leads that we needed a little bit better way to organize and manage them and track where they're coming from. Yeah. They just need to be in a little bit more detail. So it's just the sales side of the house is really using HighLevel. And then once it becomes a project, everything's still handled through TintWiz. Yeah, which like is where we give our bids and the back of the house uses and the installers on a job. That's what they're using. It's got all the pictures, measurements, all the notes for everything happening, the type of films we're going to use. So that's still, I'd say, like 80% of what we're doing is through the TintWiz CRM. But the HighLevel has made it to where we can automate following up with people. And when a lead comes in and you call someone and can't get a hold of them, are you so busy that you never circle back to calling that person again? And maybe it's the 3rd call or text message that they're going to answer, which we're seeing happen now, that they're getting automated messages. And actually, I'm available to talk at this time on this day. And then boom, inside sales team can schedule it.
Yeah.
I think that's just
So you guys have set it up when someone calls, it sends them a text message.
Yeah, so they automatically get an instant response, letting them know that somebody's going to reach out. And then the goal is to have somebody respond physically in less than 5 minutes. That's the one thing we keep hearing over and over again from everybody we're trying to learn from that's at the higher level than we are, is people don't realize how important that response time is. Yeah. What's crazy is my dad intuitively knew, because he was notorious for, I mean, it didn't matter when it was. The shop line was always forwarded to his phone. It could be Christmas. Actually, we had this happen before. The day before Christmas Eve, he answered his phone at like 9 o'clock at night. And there was a chain of grocery stores out here that's no longer here, but they had spread out all over town. And they had some executives coming to inspect the locations that all the film had been removed. And some other company had been hired to remove all the film on all the locations. They missed one. And nobody is answering the phone while this guy's panicking that he has to get the film off these windows before these executives come, because he's supposed to already have it done. And my dad was like, man, like, I mean, let me call my installers and see if they're willing to do it. But so he called us up and was like, hey, it's probably going to take 3 of you. They're going to have lifts provided. It's going to be, it was like in the middle of the night on like the 23rd or 24th of December. How much do you guys want to make? Because there's no material cost or anything. And like, and gave him a number, and it was kind of insane. And called them back and was like, hey, this is what it's going to take to get my guys out there to do it. And they're like, all right, let's do it.
He said, do it.
So like all 3 of us made like lawyer money for the hours that we worked that night. And, you know, we were done in like 3 hours, and you know, it was, so it was like, but he was always like that. Like, like there was years on end where
your dad's name was Richard. Huh?
Yeah. There was years on end where he would go without, like he would even go on vacation for our sports and stuff. And he's there, like even helping coach and in the dugout, answering the phone, dealing with business. Like just, it's a phone rang. He was answering it. He was responding immediately. And I think that's one of the like foundations of how we've kept such good relationships with our customers. We've got we had one in here today that I played baseball with her son, like little league through high school. And we've probably tinted 2 or 3 houses for them. I don't even know how many cars at this point. And we have people coming like that all the time that we've done 20, 30 cars for. So it's like, people think so short term, just trying to make $1 real quick, and don't realize like, hey, if you're trying to do this for a while, take care of every single customer like it's your grandma. Yeah. They're going to remember you. They're going to refer people to you. And the next time they get a new home and they get a new yard and have turf, they're going to remember to call you to keep it clean. Right. Yeah. Like, because you've been out there taking care of them and going above and beyond. It's such a simple little thing that so many people neglect. Yeah, I agree, man. It's 100. It's the biggest thing. And it's funny that you say your dad does it, because I'm like that too. Man. Yeah. People call me, like I've had people call me literally 9, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, hello, this is Richard. They're just like, oh, you answer. I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? How can I help you? Yeah. So we've fallen off of that standard a little bit. If it's after business hours right now, I mean, if they submit a lead form, they're getting an automated response letting them know that we're going to contact them back during regular business hours. But we're playing around with AI right now that'll connect to HighLevel. That's like an AI chatbot that they're currently training up for us that should be pretty good as far as answering after hours or when the lines are busy and nobody answers. Yeah, but it'll like introduce itself as AI and like let them know what it can and can't do. But its ability as like an agent to even put stuff on the schedule and integrate with HighLevel seems to be getting pretty good. So at a minimum, at least they're getting something. Yeah. And that conversation is then recorded and transcribed and put into HighLevel as notes. So whoever does end up looking at it and following up on it already has the key questions that we need to ask answered, and can get on the phone and know exactly what that person's looking for. So that's something we haven't implemented yet, but they're working on it right now.
Those speed the process up by a lot.
Yeah. So, and as those get better, I don't know how much you've played with AI, but those chatbots are getting insane, man. Like,
I haven't played with that at all.
Play with it. Play with it. Any entrepreneur out there, I'm telling you right now, like, don't be afraid of it. Play with it, because it's crazy. We use it to respond to our reviews right now. Like, you can literally set up one chat with ChatGPT. I mean, you could use Gemini or anything else, but hey, I have a business. This is what I do. Like, and put it on like speaker mode where you talk to it and literally just talk to it like it's a person that's going to be the person responding to your reviews. Like, hey, I would need help responding to our reviews. This is how long I've been in business. This is what we do. Give it as much information as you possibly can, and then ask it to ask you questions to help it write better reviews for you. And then it'll give you questions that you go line by line and answer those questions. And then take the last review you got, copy it, paste it in there, and see what comes back out the other end. Because it's crazy. It's super custom to the review the person left, and it'll speak in your voice that you want it to, as far as whatever your values are or whatever. Yeah. And now somebody, running the front sees a review came in. They click on it, copy, paste, read it. Yeah, that looks really good. Paste it back in there. Now you're responding to every review immediately. And it looks like you sat there and
did it,
personalized this thing and took some time on it. And I know even GoHighLevel has integration with it where they've got a review respond AI feature built into it. We haven't gone to the point of using that yet, but I've heard a couple of people say that it actually works really well. So you can have it automated to where just when a review comes in, if it's a 5-star, it's just going to auto respond. We've kept a human in the loop for the fear that maybe it does spit out something that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And we're still looking at them to see if it is, if it's lower than a 5-star for some reason, why. And then maybe it'll get shot up to my brother or myself or my sister. And maybe we'll spend a little bit more time on the response and reach out to the customer and solve whatever problem there is, if there is a problem. Mm-hmm. But just little stuff like that, man, is that little edge on Google's algorithm when it sees that you're responding to reviews and you're responding quickly. That adds to your score on Google. So your organic listing is now gonna show better. And you're more likely to attract more reviews. There's another one that we use. Do you have anything set up right now automated to request reviews from your customers?
No.
So
I actually just found out you could even do that. There's so much I'm still learning.
Game changer, bro. Yeah. Game changer. So we started using Nice Jobs, which is the one I would recommend.
Nice Jobs?
Nice Jobs. And you can use Zapier to connect it to probably anything. So I'm sure you could connect it to Jobber. I think ours right now is connected through QuickBooks. So once the invoice shows paid in full, the customer will automatically, Nice Jobs does all the work. They are going to text them or email, and there's 4 of them. And sometimes they change the order, and it's probably at least 2 texts and 2 emails. I think initially it was mostly emails, but now I believe text is involved. But what happens is that they get that, and if they click on it, because they are constantly redrafting the copy of what it even says to get them to click. And because they have so many customers that are using the software, they can tell what works better, and they're constantly shifting it and making it better to get better responses on. And so it's crazy is sometimes you can look and see we're getting more responses on the 3rd email than the text message. And it's you wouldn't have taken the time to reach out that many times.
It becomes a lot, especially when you're managing a lot of different things you're following up with, whoever, it becomes a lot.
Yeah, you have to use as much automation as possible these days. So we had 80 total reviews when we started using this about 7 years ago, roughly, between all platforms. That's Google, Facebook, Yelp, Angie's List. We had 80. Now our Google is over 2,000. I think it's at
only over 2,000.
It's at 2,100. Dude. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's crazy. We're doing good quality work that the customer appreciates. We're providing that good experience, and we've automated asking. We don't even ask. Yeah. We could probably have a higher review rate if the installers, when they were done, mentioned it, or if the front desk mentioned it. But we don't even have to mention it. Yeah. And they're automatic. And what's cool is the link that they get text on their phone. If they're logged in to Google, Yelp, or Facebook, when they click on that link, it's going to give them the option to pick whichever ones they're already logged into. And when they click on it, it just brings them straight to the app, to the review.
Just to start typing away.
One click, they can start typing. They can put how many stars and hit. So no friction. So, and that's
key, man.
Dude, crazy. So right now there's not another tin shop in town that's even close to us on reviews on Google. We're doing a big volume of work compared to a lot of shops out here, but there's some that are doing just as much work as us that have multiple locations, and they're still nowhere near us as far as reviews go on Google.
So you guys' marketing, are you guys mainly focused on Google or
we're kind of all over the place now. So we've scaled up to the point now that we're right in that kind of I don't know, you listen to like all the experts like Alex Hormozy or Ryan Pineda or anybody who's big in business, talks about scaling businesses. There seems to be like right around 3 million gross, you hit some kind of wall that like you kind of plateau and you need to change some stuff to make it to that like $10 million range. So we're kind of right in that spot right now where we've expanded. So Google and Meta is basically what we've pulled back to. The only things we were doing a little bit of TikTok and a little bit of LinkedIn ads, but like going through the numbers and looking at what's coming from where, it's mostly Google, Meta, and then referrals. So we've got that dialed in pretty good. The cool thing is if you're using Google Ads, it's going to work immediately. If you have someone that knows what they're doing it, it's going to immediately give you work. Now, what your customer acquisition costs and what your average ticket is, and how much your lifetime gross profit is going to determine what you're willing to spend there.
Yeah.
So knowing those numbers is huge. So using a CRM, you should be able to figure those numbers out. But the cool thing with Google and Meta is they work so well together. So if you have on your website your Facebook pixel, which is code that Facebook gives you to put on there, that anytime anybody goes to your website, it's going to ping if they're on a device that they're logged into Meta. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp, and they go on your website, it's going to ping Meta and let them know this person's been on my website. They're interested in what I do. And then they're going to end up in our ads, like in our ad campaigns as one of the people to send it to. So that's why you'll go on someone's website and then all of a sudden you'll start seeing ads for that person in your Instagram. Like the next time you go on Instagram, it's because they're utilizing that. So what that means is every dollar I spend on Google Ads is a percentage of those people are immediately getting put into our funnel over in Meta, where they're going to constantly see video content of exactly what we do. And that's where like the branding happens. So Google's like instant. You can drive leads that are pretty hot because they just searched exactly what you do. Meta, you might be reaching a bunch of people that have no idea what you do. And over time, seeing enough of it, engaging with it, maybe they just had turf installed and they've got pets and they haven't experienced the odor yet. And then all of a sudden they start smelling the yard smelling like piss. Oh, I know that guy I've been following on Instagram. And then boom, they contact you. So it's for branding, Meta is huge. And then once you're doing it long enough and putting out enough organic content, because that's the other crazy thing is the organic content now, ever since TikTok's been around and everybody's kind of shifted their algorithms, Instagram Reels, if you look at when you post a reel, the majority of the people that view it aren't your followers. It's going out to anybody that might possibly be interested. It's more of using that TikTok like interest graph. So anybody out there that's interested in turf for whatever reason that decided to watch your video is who that video is more likely to go to.
Yeah.
And then you have one of those that, maybe it explodes and does really well compared to what you normally post. A lot of those probably aren't even people here in town, but the algorithm just basically split test your content for you and let you know like, hey, people like this, they're engaging with it. So now if you are running ads on Meta and you have a good ad agency, they're going to turn around and take that and throw that into your ad set immediately and take something that was just you talking about turf, add some copy to it, and then maybe even add an ending to it that does have some type of call to action. And now that's running as an ad. And the algorithm already told you that people are going to engage with it. So your cost per view, cost per click, all that goes down. So like the combination in my mind and what we're doing right now is Google ads, Meta paid ads, and then as much organic as we can possibly do. And then the organic we're putting everywhere. So we're putting it on Instagram, we're putting it on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, everywhere we can possibly be. Because people live on their phones, man. They're on their phones 6-8 hours a day.
Yeah.
How can we be on there and remind them of who we are and what we do?
Yeah.
Especially for us, like for the architectural side. So houses and buildings, most people don't realize they can tint their home. They hear window tint and they think, wrappers and cars and like that's what most people think of when they think of window tint. So for us, doing a lot more content on the things we know are higher ticket options and a problem that most people don't even realize we can solve with film has been huge. Like I said, the amount of consultations we're doing has gone from like 25, 30 to 90.
It's a lot.
And a lot of those customers, I'm going on the sales calls every day. That's typically all I do now. A huge percentage of them, I'll ask every single customer, how'd you find us? How'd you know you could tint your home? Somehow I'll work that into the conversation. And a huge percentage of them was like, oh, I started following you guys on Instagram and now I just see you all the time.
Yeah.
And then I realized my office is hot. Boom, top of mind. It's crazy, man. That's I think the one thing right now, if you're not utilizing, and you look like you're using it pretty actively. And I think stories are great too. Stories are great because they let you get a little bit more relaxed with posting more often, knowing that it's just going to go away. Doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and be gone in 24 hours anyway.
I just post, man. Whatever. I'm just me, man. You know, like I think that's why when people meet me, they're like, I've had customers like, oh, you actually look like your videos. I'm like, yeah. Like, I
was hoping you were gonna wear that big hat.
I should have brought it in. Started cleaning your carpet or something. I just post, man, whatever's on my mind, or if I'm having a good time, or I'm laughing, man, or I'm with the guys, man. I'm just me, man. Like I'm not gonna, be on social media acting like someone I'm not. Trying to act cool or, just trying to, I'm just me, man. When people meet me and they're, I feel like that's the biggest thing is just I'm just me. You know what I mean? I'll make them laugh, and I always try to come with that good high energy, even if I'm exhausted and tired and beat, man. I don't let them see it. I'm just like, hey, how's it going?
So are you still at the point that you're doing the majority of the sales?
Yeah, I'm still because so the guys, so the three people that work for me now, they just started with me since late February.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been hiring someone like almost every month right now. So which is, to me, is a huge plus. It's a whole new level of business that I'm in, because I now have to make sure they eat too, right? And obviously they eat before I eat. So it's like,
that's the thing people don't think about, man. That's like, I look at it now with like, we're up to like, right around 20 people, and we'll get to do a get together, and everybody bring their family members and their kids, and we'll be at a Knights game, and I'll be looking at this giant crowd of people like, man, like, this isn't about just how much money I can make at the end of the day. Like, all of these people
are relying on you.
They need shelter and food, and like, and that's something like I know my parents struggled with big time early on, especially when we were smaller. Like, there would be times that in the winter when we get slower, like they stop taking paychecks for 2-3 months because there's not enough in the account for them to even take one. Everything's like the grass is greener and just go be an entrepreneur. It's easy, but the responsibility that lands on your shoulders is pretty heavy, man.
I honestly think, man, to be an entrepreneur, man, you just have to. How my son tells me, I know it's what people say all the time, but my son tells me, I'm built different. You just have to be built different, man, because you got to realize, like, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, like, shoot, did I do this? Was this done? Or like, oh, did this go out? Or whatever the case may be, man. You just, you're always just consistently, moving and shaking. So, it's like people just don't understand entrepreneurship. Like, you got to make sure who's working for you, they're going to eat before you eat. And it's,
so if you don't like working 40 hours a week and you want to work less than that, don't be an entrepreneur, because you're going to be working way more than 40 hours a week.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, right now we lost our second outside salesperson, and we're hiring right now actively. So I've been the only outside sales after we've ramped up doing, 70, 90 scheduling a week.
Yeah.
So I've had no choice lately, but every single day of the week, except for the like one day here or there that we schedule this, I'm 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. I'm doing consultations, including I'm doing my Sunday evenings, because like people don't want to wait 3 weeks to get a consultation.
So you're doing 7 days a week right now?
When I can. I mean, like tomorrow, I blocked myself off because my daughters have regionals for track. Mm-hmm. Technically, I probably could squeeze a couple in the morning before I need to be at that. But because I've putting it in when I can, like Saturdays, they've been having track meets in the morning, but I'll schedule myself from like 1 to 6 on Saturdays, just because we're so backed up with consultations right now that I don't want, and I'm seeing people start to cancel because we've never been backed up like that before.
Yeah.
Where we'd had like almost 100% show rate on they call us, we schedule them, we show up 1 or 2 days later, like no cancellations. Now that it's like 1 or 2 weeks out before we can even give you a consultation, I'm seeing 2-3 cancellations a day. And in my mind, those are people that were like ready to pull the trigger, want to get it done now. Yeah. Somebody else beat me there, and I didn't even have an opportunity to win that job. They already went with someone else, which is a good problem to have. But at the same time, it's, that's every time you solve one problem and like, we need more leads. Like, okay, now we got too many.
Yeah.
Now we're losing them on the back end. So now, we definitely need a second outside salesperson and probably another inside sales, because even with how organized we've got with HighLevel, following up with every single person, every step along the way that we want to follow up with them outside of the automation is still hard to do.
Yeah.
Because, 30 new leads are coming in a day that they're trying to respond to, along with responding to the ones from yesterday and the day before and the day before that.
Yeah.
I was like, and you start breaking down the percentages of how you can increase your closing percentage, from 40 to 50%. That's actually a 25% bump.
Yeah.
It's not 10%, right? Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is like where you really have to get dialed in if you want to scale above a certain number. Like,
yeah,
you just find where's the math makes the most sense to. It never ends, man. We're constantly trying to learn, and we've grown up doing this. This business has been around for 40 years, and how we're doing things today will be different 3 months from now for sure.
You have to keep making adjustments.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing, and I think that I've learned and had to learn is, you just have to keep making adjustments. Like now that I have these guys that could go out there and handle things, now I'm able to kind of put myself out there with quotes and all that fun stuff. Be able to meet with more people, and they go and take care of the job. So it makes things a little bit easier on my end too. So I don't feel so overwhelmed with it.
So not a lot of people just have that cooked in as like that's how things should be done. Where did you learn that? Like, did you do sports when you were younger? Was there a parent, a family member, somebody that kind of taught you that that's the way things are?
I actually don't come from an entrepreneur family at all, man. No, not at all. So it's just, I did do sports. I wrestled in high school. I did martial arts out of high school, and I did bodybuilding. And now I did one competition in bodybuilding, but I learned a lot too from that. And now I just committed to doing a marathon in October. I haven't ran a mile in like 14 years.
Oh, so. Sweet, man.
So it's just, go ahead.
If you want help with that, like my brother and myself, we can help you with that. So running's been our thing for a while now.
Yeah.
So.
That you just mentioned track, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the one that kind of got my daughter into it, but yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I just try to challenge myself, and I always knew, man, that you can't do everything and expect to grow. You have to, be able to grow and like put yourself out into different positions, and trust your team that they're gonna do what needs to be done. I'm still a small team, but I understand that for me to grow, I have to be able to bring other people in to help me with what I can't do all the time, right? So, like for example, just till this month, I was working 7 days a week, literally every single day. And now that I brought the third guy in, I was able to now cut off Sundays and put more work in through Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
So now I could go take care of my quotes, or, meet with, whoever's contacting me, if it needs to be done or whatever. Or I take care of, if something went wrong, then I just go and I take care of it myself. Now it makes things a little bit easier. My guys could keep on moving to move forward, but.
Yeah, man, the wrestling, what martial arts?
I did boxing, Muay Thai, judo, and jiu-jitsu.
Oh, cool. How long you trained jiu-jitsu?
A year and a half.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I haven't been active lately, but I started 7 years ago. And our main installer now is someone I met through jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt, got his own gym. But like in my mind, that's the people we're looking for now. Someone who wrestled in high school. I mean, college would be even better.
Yeah.
But the person that has that mindset and understands the discipline that it takes to get good at something, that I think can be applied to everything in life. That's why I've 100%. Kept my kids heavy in sports.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter is wrestling in high school right now. So, and all my older kids did jiu-jitsu, and it's like, it's a lot of money putting kids in travel sports and keeping them in stuff like, even playing high school sports now is expensive.
Yeah.
The track season this year was insane. Like, I'm like, they're running.
Yeah.
Why is it like $1,000 a kid to go run? But that is going to transfer to success in the rest of their life and everything that they do. Like,
it is, man. And I think, in my opinion, man, anyone that wrestled and when they were actually wrestling and they actually did what needed to be done and understood the discipline of, cutting weight literally every freaking week,
Sometimes twice a week.
Yeah, man. Like it's just those human beings are just different, man. Like their drive is just crazier. They're more hungry. They push forward more because, at the end of the day, like this is what I really like. I like individual sports a lot more than a team sport, right? Wrestling, yes, it's a team sport when you're going through, score wise. But at the end of the day, like you're wrestling out there on your own, it's on you. Yep. Whether you win or lose, that's on you. If you didn't practice hard enough, that's on you. If you didn't make weight, that's on you. If you're suffering literally the day of weigh-in and you miss weight by 4 ounces, they're trying to spit. They're putting your sauna suit. Like now you're suffering before you got to wrestle. Yeah. So it's just like when you start going through those things, man, like you just understand. Like it's just there's drive. Like it's weird. It's different. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, my kids all have transitioned from, my older kids at least, from team sports to individual, like track, wrestling, cross country, which there's still a team aspect, but at the end of the day,
it's on you.
It's on you.
Yeah.
Which, I grew up playing baseball, so team sports was a thing. I think there's huge value in that too, working with others. You still have the same work ethic, but it's not like wrestling level. Yeah. One of the girls on my daughter's team at regionals this year was going to miss weight. So she had coach go grab some scissors and they started cutting hair off.
Oh, I remember that.
And this girl had long hair and all of a sudden it's like way shorter and she made weight. And I was like, that's another level of dedication, especially for a girl to go from having really long hair to like all of a sudden it's short, like a couple minutes later, but like she wanted to go win that match. Like, it's crazy.
It's not a joke.
That's where our dad came from. He was he took third in the state of California, I think his junior year. And then I think he injured his knee playing football, so he wasn't like in full condition his senior year. Mm-hmm. But he had an offer to wrestle at like Cal State Poly, and but he turned it down to open up a tint business.
Yeah.
But his drive early on, especially when I was younger, man, he just did not stop. But eventually, like, stopped taking care of himself as much because he was just so focused on the business and out eating fast food every day, and it eventually like wore him down. So that's a trap we're trying to stay away from.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I caught myself into too as well. Now that I've been so busy, like I just don't have the same amount of time to like make food or whatever. I'm just too tired, or and it's just you just kind of eat out. You stop at the gas station, you grab cheap snacks, and it's just not good for you. So this is the reason that I was like, man, like I need to challenge myself. So I was like, man, let's just do this marathon. It's actually a buddy of mine that was like, hey man, I'm gonna do this. You should join me. And I was like, man, F it, let's do it.
Nice,
like, let's do it. So,
dude, signing up for my first marathon was what got me into running like pretty religiously. Like right now, I've been running a lot. I've been running like maybe 10 miles a week, which compared to most people is still pretty good.
It's a lot.
But like, you get into marathon training, you really go down the rabbit hole. You realize like if you want to have like any kind of a decent time, you better be at like 40, 50, 60 miles a week. It's a whole nother animal. But then you figure out how to make it happen. Like, okay, if I'm really dedicated to go do this, like I know my brother gets up to 50, 60 miles before doing an ultra. He's about to run 100K in a couple months. He's run 400 milers the last 4 years.
100K is what, 60 miles?
Yeah, that's the furthest I've ever gone. So I went and did a 100 miler with him 2 years ago that I knew I wasn't ready for. I kept having like calf injuries from training jiu-jitsu and running at the same time. So I eventually kind of shut jiu-jitsu down for a little bit. That's what's kept me from getting back into it, is I kind of tried focusing on just running. But I only got up to like 35 miles a week before going to run a 100 miler. Which is not enough. And I knew it. And I was still a little bit bigger than I should have been. Like the last time I really trained for an ultra marathon, I got down to like 155, 160 pounds. This race, I was at like
How tall are you?
5'8". Yeah. So I was like shredded. That was the best shape I've ever been in my whole life. And I just slowly over the last couple of years, like haven't been as disciplined with my stuff, but yeah, at one point I'm running 60 miles a week and I'm doing it all at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning to be able to get it done before the work day and not have an excuse to be too tired at the end of the day. That's the biggest thing I would say for running is do it early in the morning, start your day with it. Like make that your training plan, is you're going to start early in the morning, and starting out, separate your days. You don't need to run every single day. Have rest days in between. Try to do some type of active recovery on the non-run days. and keep 80% of the time you're running easy. Like you should be wearing something to track your heart rate and know what your max heart rate is. And then there's charts out there you can find like, okay, my easy days, I need to be like, for me, I know I need to be under like 150. So I've been trying to keep it in like the low 140 range to not even get close to that. But if you can consistently do that, have one, maybe 2 workouts a week where you get your heart rate a little bit higher than that. And then have one day on the weekend that you're consistently making longer each week. And then don't increase your weekly volume by more than like 10%, either time or miles. I like time better than miles now. So if you did 2 hours of running this last week, you can increase how much you're running next week by about 12 minutes. And then if you just keep doing that consistently, 9 months later, you're going to be running 50, 60 miles and your long run on the weekend is going to be 15, 16, 18, 20 miles, and it's not going to feel very bad. If you can do that going into a marathon, the marathon's not going to be that bad. But if you don't get to that point, from like mile like 15 to 20 on is going to suck, and you're going to be walking a lot. That's the other thing too, is even my daughter right now, she's ranked second in the state for the 1600. For the longest time when she'd go running with me, she's the one kid that would always want to go running with me when I'd go running in the morning. I was always on a run, walk, run schedule that I would just like, okay, we're going to jog for 2 minutes and then walk for a minute. We're going to jog for 2 minutes, walk for a minute. And that was that naturally just keeps your heart rate down and doesn't let it get too high and stay too high. Then your body doesn't build up a bunch of extra fatigue and you can keep doing it. Then I extended it to like 4 minutes, 30 seconds, at the peak of that training I would do with her. So like now we may still start out 2 minutes, 1 minute. And then by the time we're like 10 minutes in, all of a sudden we're going to do 3 minutes, 1 minute. Maybe we'll get up to 4 minutes, 30 seconds. And stopping and walking is not a bad thing. Like you don't want to like most people mess up by running too hard too often, and that's how you get injured. Like if you can keep your ratio like 80% easy, the likelihood you're going to get injured is so much lower. So even up until high school, even right now in high school, she tracks her heart rate and she'll have runs that, are 8 minute, 9 minute miles that look like that doesn't look like you're doing much. But then she goes out and the 1600 runs a 4:59, so it's like, that's a sub 5 minute mile basically.
Yeah.
But most of her running is around 8-9 minutes a mile. And that's someone that can run a 5 minute mile. Like, so if most of your running when you're older, heavier, out of shape with a lower max heart rate is, anywhere near those kinds of paces, you're running too fast. So that's where like the stopping and walking is really nice. You can like really see your heart. You can find a groove of like, okay, in 2 minutes, it gets right up the highest I want it to get. I'm going to stop and walk for 30 seconds. And then you can see how quickly it recovers and comes back down. Like, that's the fun thing with it. It's just like running a business, man. It's like you kind of tinker around with it, play with it, try one thing and then see what the result is and try to get on. The internet now has everything.
Yeah.
I mean, even ChatGPT, AI, I help use that for her training plan. Like I'll give it all the information from her training cycle, talk to it about certain coaches that I know are using certain training methodologies. Like, what do you think about this? And it'll give back like, based off of what she's been doing, what her times are, and based off of what this coach does, this is how you should train this week. And it gives you like a perfect plan
to just follow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you could use that. Like this old, I weigh this much, this is what I think my max heart rate is, or go out and do a test to find out what it really is, where you do run hard for like a mile or two and try not to stop and see how you can get your heart rate. And then you've got something to go off of that. And the wearables are crazy to me because it's just like tracking data on the business. Like I can see based off how many leads are coming in, consultations are being booked, what our closing percentage is, what our average ticket price is. I kind of know how much money is going to be made based off of those metrics. Yeah. You can do the same thing for training for running by tracking your data, looking at what your heart rate average was or what the high was for a certain training run and how fast you were running it, and know like, okay, that was probably a little too fast. Next time I'm going to slow it down a little bit and then look at the result. And then you keep doing that, and all of a sudden your times that you're running are going to get faster, but your heart rate's going to stay the same. Yeah. That's how you know you're getting aerobically fit.
Oh, well, they say too, like if I'm mistaken, that you could tell like the health of your heart too by when you sleep because
Yeah,
of how slow it goes.
your resting heart rate will drop like crazy. So mine, even still right now, with me not running as much as I have in the past, when I have a good week of training and do a good long run on the weekend, that's like an hour and a half long, my resting heart rate that next night will typically drop down into like the 30s, which at my age is like means you're in incredible cardiovascular health, like aerobic health. 40.
40.
So my daughter has the same thing right now. Like as she's been getting more and more fit, her resting heart rate just keeps getting lower. And then like even heart rate variability is another one you can track on most like Whoop straps, or Apple Watch tracks it. The Coros that my daughter wears tracks it. And when your heart rate variability is high, that's letting you know that your nervous system's recovered and you're ready to have an intense session. If it's low and you're supposed to have an intense session, you might want to consider, and your resting heart rate was high that night and heart rate variability is low, maybe today isn't the day to do a hard workout. I'm going to go easy again. Mm-hmm. And then when you see, okay, my resting heart rate fell, my heart rate variability is high, I can have a really good hard session today. And it's just your percentage of getting injured goes down. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, there's a crazy science to it. And just like everything else nowadays, you can find experts giving really good information on YouTube. You can find people that don't know what they're talking about on there too. That's why you got to be a critical thinker and don't just take one person's information. And kind of the same way you're a student of your business, you can do the same thing for running. Yeah. It's just how much do you want to do it? And are you going to dedicate some time to do it?
So you recommend then running early in the morning? Because right now I run at night. I run like 7:30, 8 p.m. But that's ultimately because I do like walk a lot.
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is you think that it's going to like slow you down for the day. When I'm consistently running in the morning, those are the days that I have the most energy throughout the day. Because I think a big part of running that's so good for you is you're oxygenating your body. You're like forcing yourself to breathe deeply. So you're like getting oxygen down to the cellular level, and now your body's creating ATP more efficiently. And especially if you don't overdo it and you keep that heart rate in zone 2, you're not burning a bunch of sugar for energy. You're mostly burning fat, and you're getting your fat cells to create ATP systemically, the whole body. So you can create way more energy, way more ATP aerobically than you can through any other system. It's just a little slower, which is perfect for the day-to-day walking around working. Like your heart rate shouldn't be spiking at work too crazy. I mean, maybe if you're out like, doing really hardcore labor, it might, but I'm assuming what you're doing similar to like even installing film, you're getting a workout in, squeegee in the window. And we're doing a lot of exterior installs now too. So same thing, like you're out in the heat sometimes, but yeah, the getting it in the morning. I mean, if you're doing anything at all, that's great. Keep doing it. But in my opinion, especially for running, do it early in the morning. It sets your day up for success. You can't have a day that ends up making it to where you can't do it or you find an excuse not to do it in the evening. And there's studies that I've seen come out that like you want your last workout of the day. And the more intense it is, the more so this is true, to be at least like 6 hours away from when you want to go to sleep. So if you're working out, and I felt this when I was doing jiu-jitsu and doing night classes, I'd come home from jiu-jitsu after a hard session at a night class that I don't get done till like 7:30. And it would take me like 3 hours to wind down and like even be able to like
fall asleep,
lay down. Yeah. I'm wide awake right now. I'm going to watch something rather than go to bed, because sleep's the other thing that everybody slacks off on.
Yeah. It's the recovery.
Yeah. It's so huge. It's like you listen to stories about LeBron James or all these professional athletes that are super successful. They're prioritizing like 10, 12 hours of sleep a night in order to stay healthy. Yeah. They're doing that for a reason. Their time's pretty valuable. They're not wasting it sleeping because they're lazy. They're doing it very intentionally because the science is in. The recovery you get from getting extra sleep in is huge. Yeah. So that's one thing where my daughter has been really good with. She gets at least like 8-9 hours a night. And then before big meets, she'll try to have like nights that she's getting like 11-12 hours if possible, where she'll go to bed early. But that's just having the discipline to prioritize that. Yeah, don't stay up and scroll Instagram or watch something on Netflix when you know like, hey, I'm training for this thing. I need to get to bed. And then that goes back to the hiring people and leading people. People want to be led by somebody that seems like they've got their shit together and they know what they're doing. Yeah. So working on yourself and being the best person you can be is going to attract better people. Yeah. It's going to attract better clients. It's going to all around. It's just like, I think everything stems from personal health and like taking care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're eating trash food, you're not exercising, your mental health isn't as good as it can be. And all the stress that you're dealing with day in and day out of running a business starts piling up. Like going and getting a nice long run in for me is therapeutic, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially once you get to short runs, kind of suck. And when you're first starting, kind of all you can do without injuring yourself. Once you get to the point where you're doing a long run on the weekend that's like over 3, 4, 5 miles, you're going to hit a groove where you don't have to stop and walk. You still can breathe easily. Your heart rate's not going high, and everything just kind of hit like a flow state almost. They call it runner's high, but to me, it's the same thing as like at a jiu-jitsu class when I get really dialed in and third roll in, I'm just rolling and I don't feel out of breath and I'm still moving hard, but all I'm focused on is what they're doing and what I can do next. That's the only thing in my head.
Yeah.
Is that. You get that from running really easily. Like, especially as you start going further. It's the short 1, 2, 3 mile runs that kind of suck, especially if you're doing them at a harder pace.
Yeah.
Then you're like mentally really struggling to just keep going. But slow it down, go longer, and you'll find like this crazy amount of peace in the morning. That, especially getting out, get off of concrete. I go out onto the trails all the time. Get out on the trail early in the morning and get out there like right as the sun's coming up. Now you're like 2 miles, 3 miles out when the sun starts coming up, and like you don't see the city at all. It's just nature. Like that is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like 7 years ago. I weighed like 240 pounds and lost a shit ton of weight. That's when I got down to like the 155. Right now I'm hanging out like 80, 90 range, which it's not the best, but definitely being out consistently on all these calls. I've been doing the same thing and been making excuses for myself, and fuck it, I'll just grab a burger real quick.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten yet. It's 2:00 and it's like, yeah, I probably should not do that.
Yeah, no, that definitely messes with you, man. The food that you eat.
Oh, it's huge, man.
People don't understand how bad, what you eat is what can affect you, So it's like the cleaner you eat, the more water you drink, you just feel.
Yeah, and you don't realize how shitty you feel until you do it. And you stick with it for like a good month or two. All of a sudden you're like, damn, man, I didn't know I could feel this good.
Yeah.
And then you go have one day of slacking off and just fucking, I'm going to eat a pizza. And the next morning you're like, I don't want to get
sluggish,
it. Yeah,
tired.
Why don't I want to get up today? Oh yeah, I ate like shit last night.
Yeah.
That's been huge for both of us. Even Jordan's gotten super fit over the last couple of years. Dialing in nutrition's huge, man.
Yeah.
I think nutrition's like 90% of it. You can be disciplined enough to avoid all the traps in society right now. Every gas station you stop at, every drive-through you drive by, like all of these foods are poisons that are just, you don't overdose over in one shot like fentanyl, where we make a big deal about it in the news.
Yeah.
Because 100,000 people a year are dying. But there's 1 million people a year dying from diseases of metabolism. Yeah. Diabetes, cancer, heart disease.
Yeah.
All of these things, your risk for it goes through the roof when you're eating all this shit food. But it doesn't kill you tomorrow. It's 30 years from now. You're putting it off down the road.
It's a slow kill.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I'm always trying to like preach to my kids is like, man, like now that they've got their teenagers, like they have their moments where they just want to eat trash food no matter what, even though they know it's not good for them. And, they got to learn that lesson on their own. But
yeah,
I don't know, running a business and not taking care of yourself. I've seen that play out so many times. Like our dad, he had a stroke, man. Like,
yeah, I remember talking to him and I was talking to him and your mom, and he had told me that, because I remember when I went to go do the quote and I was talking, he's like, I need to sit down.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll show you a picture of him when he was in high school wrestling and be like, that's not the same person.
Yeah.
And like, he's not old. He's 60. Like, maybe 30, 40 years ago, 60 was like close to knocking on death's door. But you see people right now that are taking care of themselves that are in their 60s, like Joe Rogan, like dude's a specimen. He looks like probably what a 40-year-old looked like 30 years ago. And there's a bunch of people like that are doing that. So why not me? Right? Like,
yeah. It makes a big difference, man, on the way when you're fit and, especially how you said, running a business and not being unhealthy, you just feel like you just have more of that drive, man. You could go longer.
Yeah, for sure. So what else do you have going on with your business right now? Like anything special going on? What's the main thing that like customers are having you come out for? Is it mainly just pet cleanup is the big thing?
Yeah, the pet odor, like, just having that urine odor is the biggest thing. So, the biggest thing is just trying to keep on growing, trying to, make sure that we have more consistent customers, more quarterly customers, that we keep our guys busy, So, the focus is just trying to keep growing and give great customer service, man, is just the biggest thing for us right now.
Those are, I think, the number one things you should focus on.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
You could find us on Instagram at bigcornturfcleaning.com, or on Instagram, Bighorn Turf Cleaning, or bigcornturf.com. You can find us on Facebook, Bighorn Turf Cleaning. Pretty much, those are the main platforms that are being used.
Okay, so you guys know what to do. Go follow along. If you live here in Vegas and you've got turf that you need cleaned or maintained and kept up, check him out. He's awesome. He's been taking care of our parents for a while now. Thank you for following along. Subscribe. If you have any questions for future episodes or guests, put them in the comments. Thank you.